How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Cyber Clinic Central. I'm your host, George, and today I have two special guests with me today. Cyber Clinic Central first, actually, to have two special guests at the same time. And I'll let you guys introduce yourself. Go ahead.
You go first.
Trainer Parson, member of the Cyber Clinic.
Good to have you.
What else are you?
What else are you? I know you're not just a member, Katrina.
I'm the recruitment head.
Okay.
I'm Matthew Samuel Nugent. Everyone calls me, in the clinic, everyone calls me Samuel, but I'm the project coordinator, going strong for 2 years now.
Nice, awesome. I'm glad you guys came on the show. I'm glad to have you guys on. I'm super excited to be here. What about you guys?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, I love being here.
I've been asking for this for like 2 years. I've been asking for this forever.
That's crazy because the show hasn't even been going on 2 years. I think you were one of the first ones when the conception was going on and we were kind of talking in the room like, hey, let's start a podcast. You were before the episode 1 came out, like, George, one of these days get me on that podcast, and I was like, just let it simmer.
I was scoping these rooms out. I have like all the pictures that I found. I made that video in the multimedia room. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
It's like bully George to get us on this podcast.
No. It was just I'm getting a little more formalized, more organized. I had a couple milestones I wanted to hit before we bring two guests at one time, because normally it started with me and Medi, then we had our own special guest last episode, and now two of you guys at the same time, which we're just going to keep amping. I don't know if I could do more than two. This is probably the max, because at that point we might have to have just a circle, all of us in a circle, mics, and a camera with like 360 angle, and it wouldn't be a podcast at that point. It'd just be our officer meeting, to be honest.
I hope not, considering the last officer meeting. We're all just going to argue.
I kind of like the argument.
It's 3 hours of arguing.
There's beauty in the chaos. I think just in general, if you could take something from chaos, usually whatever comes out of it is usually a pretty good end product, and that goes for ideas, solutions, etc.
Yeah.
But outside of that, let's get back to what we're talking about today. So today, I want to talk about you two, Katrina and Samuel. Kind of your journey with the Cyber Clinic. What initially got you to start into cybersecurity? So let's start there. Talk about what kind of led you into joining the Cyber Clinic, and then what you've been doing in the Cyber Clinic since you've joined, and kind of leading up to now, and then we'll talk about what's next. And then after we kind of talk about that with both of you, of course, I'm going to poke questions with both of you because, I'm curious. We've known each other a long time. We've known each other a shorter time. So I'm a curious person. I want to know all I can about you, and I'm sure a lot of the members do too. And then after that, I know you guys have a very, 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 very special topic you want to talk about today. That's why you guys came in a duo today. So we'll get into that afterwards. So who wants to start? Kat, Sam?
Sam will go first. He's got a more interesting and more in-depth story.
Well, okay.
Got like 2 years of cyber under his belt.
So I joined the Cyber Clinic about 2 years ago. It was Bryce that brought me in. I think we had struggled through like a discrete math course together, and we played some games together, and he's like, you should join the Cyber Clinic. So I showed up to the lab one day, and this was like before we even had like interviews like formalized. So
right.
Everyone in the meeting just asked me some questions, and then I was like in.
Yeah, that's how it used to be back before we super formalized it.
Yeah, I mean it was really nice back then. Like we were all really hard chargers. What really got me into cyber is just the clinic, like being involved with the clinic, seeing how passionate everyone was. Because pretty much shortly after that, I participated a lot in meetings, and Medi noticed that, and he brought me onto our initial tertiary research project. Because basically all we were doing with the Cyber Clinic was supposed to be related to research, and then obviously we pivoted to being under UNLV.
Right.
So I was brought onto that research project, which meant I got pretty in depth with clients, and pretty much that's been the direction. Like it was a little confusing for me for a little while because I was basically just Medi's right hand man. I just did whatever he asked me. I was SBDC liaison for a little while until I handed that off to Richard. And then it's pivoted over to being more focused on projects, although that's still on pause because our projects are on pause, but I am still focusing heavily on clients and with their new client services and et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty much it. And that's what got me into cyber, just being involved with you guys, doing workshops, doing competitions, other stuff like that. And that's about it.
That's awesome. So you met Bryce, who's our secretary, by the way, shout out to him. Was it discrete math 1 or 2?
It was 1.
Just a side note, discrete math 2 is easier than 1 in my honest opinion.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I also think on the same note, calculus 2 is easier than calculus 1.
Yes.
What?
That's just
Yeah.
a real. Now I don't know if it's a hot take, it's just my take. That
Integrations are easy.
I'm gonna say that. I'm just gonna say that for all my computer science majors listening to this. It will get better.
It gets easier, we promise.
It gets easier, and then it gets harder, and then you'll get out. You'll be fine.
Is that what we do on podcasts? We just get controversial?
No. I don't know if that's a controversial.
I'll get controversial later. We'll get controversial.
So before you even joined Cyber Clinic, you were going Bachelor of Science CS, right?
Yep.
And that's still what you're pursuing, right? You graduate this semester,
This
correct?
semester, yeah.
Early congratulations.
Thank you.
So when you went to UNLV, your career path, what was that looking like? Because cyber, it sounds like cyber didn't become a thing until you met connections and then you got brought into that. You joined in, right? But prior to that, what were you looking into?
I was heavily considering like just any sort of software development or just research. I even while in cyber, I have invested a lot of time into learning machine learning. So I'm pretty good at that because I'm very good at math. That was kind of always my draw, and I even considered switching to a math major, but I realized like, man, I need to eat. I need to make money. So
now who's controversial?
I wanted to I considered it because I'm really good at math and I like math a lot and I like a lot of theoretical stuff. So I considered research, and I am technically doing research this semester, but it's a little low key because I'm so focused on clinic and school and trying to graduate.
Right.
But I didn't have like a super defined career path until cyber, until I got my internship because of the cyber clinic, and it set me on the path to be like, man, I actually like cybersecurity.
Yeah. Is there like a particular aspect of cyber that kind of drawed you in the most, or is kind of because the clinic ultimately we try and like get our feet wet in different avenues of cyber, but our main draw is the consulting side of things, applying frameworks, that side of cyber. But that is one small piece in a very big puzzle of cyber. So is that kind of what draws you in, or is there something else that you kind of liked?
I really like, I've kind of realized recently that I really, really like forensics investigation and
awesome.
Malware analysis and stuff like that. I've dipped my toes in a lot of cyber topics for a long time. I hate networking. I understand it. I know the concepts fairly well, but networking is just not for me. But I'm pretty flexible. Like I've done framework stuff, obviously with working with a lot of clients and stuff. I'm starting to dip my toes into forensics and stuff. I'm trying things out. I was doing triage stuff because I worked in a SOC for a little bit.
Right.
So I'm trying everything out, but I think I want to try to push towards maybe incident response, something like that.
Cool. That's awesome. And then I believe, how early on in your cyber clinic career did you become an officer? Was it just when
It was like 2 months in.
2 months in, right? You became
hard,
the work scope developer right off the bat, right?
It was hard to define because it was super, super quick. Like Mehdi wanted me to make sure we never, he basically looped me into the whole processes and procedures with working with clients and making sure that stuff gets out, because I was always a big proponent, because Mehdi, he's very bright-eyed and he's very optimistic about things. So the thing is that there's so much to consider when it comes to handling a client. And I was really, really worried, especially when it came to like doing our care level 2 service remediations, of going out of scope and how do I wrangle people and make sure they don't break anything. Like I trust them, and I don't think that's going to be a common occurrence, but we always need to make sure there's, what's the word for it? Like we just need to have eyes over everything and make sure that nothing goes astray.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's I think you've done a great job. So to be honest, your officer position has probably one of the officer positions that's grown the most over its inception. 100%. I mean, it's got a full name change, full direction change. You've even added a lot of things under your umbrella. So the amount of responsibilities that your department holds in the clinic it's incredible, to be honest. Yeah. All the stuff, because like you said, you're managing the overall scope of the clinic. Projects are on hold as of this recording. Yeah. Who knows by the next recording, right? And then you're managing all our client services, which is our ultimately our bread and butter. Yeah. So kudos to you, man. Gee.
Thank you. It's been tough. It's a really stressful job, especially because I come into this field, this position without any experience in it. So I've always got to figure things out. And the main thing that's helped me is just communicating. I'm just communicating, letting you guys know when there's a roadblock or when I'm struggling, because I've been busy like throughout. I've done full-time school the whole time, but I've always tried to put in like 10 to 20 hours in the clinic a week, and it's draining.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
No, I get you, and I think you hit on a key point there, and that's also something that you're really good at too, Kat, is just like overall communicating. Like I feel like both you guys have your feet dipped in a lot of things, but you're really good at communicating like expectations, where things need to be done, what time things need to be done, if things are behind schedule, ahead of schedule, etc. I think that's something you guys both do really well that I've observed. So that's probably why you guys are both here.
So nice of you to say that.
Yeah, I mean it's true. It's true. So this is the part of the podcast where I get to poke a little bit. And I'm gonna start with you, Sam, before we get into your story, Kat, and then I might poke with you too as well.
He gonna break down my whole career. I'm gonna be shambles at the end of this podcast.
I'm crying.
No, it's a clinic poke because I would think this episode would get out before elections. Our elections happen once a year. As of this moment, they happen in August. You're currently the project coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should probably change that name. Project coordinator officer. Project coordinator. Are there any plans for you to run for something else in this upcoming election? Are you going to run for project coordinator again? Are you going to ascend to new heights? Are you going to try something new? And you also mentioned that you're graduating. So this is a twofold question. One, are you going to move on and try to run for something else in the upcoming officer election?
Mm-hmm.
And two, what's after the undergrad? Are you looking for grad school? Are you looking to join the workforce? So kind of intertwined question because, if you're obviously looking to join the workforce, you're not going to worry about elections. You're going to worry about putting food on the table, like you said earlier. So let's start with that, and then Kat, that's a little trailer for you. What I'm gonna ask you after we get into you.
So I definitely am aiming to get a job of some sort after I graduate. I will go to grad school at some point in my life. Just probably not right now. I'm pretty burnt out of school.
Yeah.
I just don't think I can handle this routine of work, school, repeat. For another 6 or so years. I do want my PhD, but I can always go back. Look at Medi, right? He went back. So I'm not too worried about that. So I do want to try and get a job. There are a few places that I've either applied to or I'm thinking of applying to. And then when it comes to running for like a clinic position, I probably won't run for project coordinator again. I'll see like what the field looks like. We still have a few months until then.
Yes, we do.
I definitely I know Caitlin's going for my position. Shout out to Caitlin and Arturo. You guys are awesome in client services.
Shout out.
I don't think Arturo right now is like decided on whether or not he wants to go for what officer position, but it would probably be mine most likely because he sees a lot of my work and I've introduced them since they're kind of my secondaries in case something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard also wants to go for my position. Austin wants to go for my position if he doesn't make internal affairs. So I think I would see the field because I really am all about like bringing in new people and bringing people up and getting new blood.
Yeah.
So if like our officer board is completely filled and it's like all new people who are like pretty solid, I don't think I would run for another officer position. I would give it to Caitlin. I think we need new people in our officer board learning what we're doing so that the clinic can keep going on because I can't stay with the clinic forever. Or maybe I will, but in some form.
I mean, once a member
will keep you locked in forever.
Once a member, always a member. But how you contribute is what's going to change over time. And I love that you mentioned that that you like to get new people into positions and give new people opportunity. That's when I started in my role currently. That was one on the top of my list of things to do. Because prior to me taking the position I'm in currently, I always felt like it was the same handful of people doing everything, getting all the recognitions, but and that's not the case, right? It takes multiple people to get things done, and we also have to give opportunities for people to get things done so they can ascend ultimately. Because the goal of the cyber clinic ultimately is to get people from A to B, get them that experience, and get them that personal and professional growth. So I love that we're on the same page with that because that's what I think too. I think I want to see the new generation. I want to give them the tools. I want them to be better than we are. Awesome. That's cool. I'm excited for you. As for grad school, I agree. I took the same route. So I got my undergrad and then I got a job and came back and went to grad school. I just think general piece of advice. This is not a controversial advice. I think this is decent advice. But I think ultimately the best path, unless other circumstances, but generally speaking, I would say finish your undergrad, try and find a job somewhere stable, wherever you choose, and then from there, ideally, you land somewhere where someone will pay for your grad school.
Yeah, exactly.
Because depending on your situation, you might be already in debt with your undergrad. You don't want to go in debt even more for grad school. And then also, like you said, I mean, you've done undergrads take the average for a bachelor's is what 6 years right now. This is what they're reporting. So 5 to 6 years. So you don't want to take another 2 years of doing the same routine, and you still haven't seen like your first paycheck.
And that's just a master's. I want a PhD.
Right. So
yeah.
yours is like kind of like indefinite. You know, when you draw those math charts, and it's like bracket indefinite. We don't know when it's ending. If we don't know when it's ending, you don't know what's ending because you have to defend your dissertation at the end. So you don't know. So I would just recommend for you and anyone watching this, once you get your undergrad, try and find a career somewhere stable, and then look into opportunities for either tuition reimbursement or full ride. Because I have a buddy, he works at Boeing. They have a program too. They'll pay everything, and they want to do that. So look for opportunities like those. I think that's key.
That's definitely exactly what I want. Like I put that in my LinkedIn, like interested in grad school, and every professional person I've met where it's like they've asked me like what my plan is, and like, you know, maybe they work for a big company. I'm like, oh, you know, I really want to go to grad school. Wink, wink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please pay.
No, it's definitely competition, and they will. There's mutual benefits on both sides. So I think you're on a great path. I think you're solid, man. You're solid. You're solid.
I'm a B tier cyber clinic.
All right.
It gets higher and higher. No, it gets higher and higher.
I appreciate your modesty. But
if there was like a Samuel tier, you would be up there.
Yeah, I think you're on a tier on by yourself. Like you're running one of the most resource intensive departments in our clinic. So
dipping his toes into other departments.
Dipping your toes in other departments. I mean, you're an officer, which is demanding on its own. So credits where credits due, man. This is what we do on Cyberclinic Center. We give the credits where it's due.
Thank you. Gas each other up.
And I want to shift the focus to Kat. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Real tired this morning. Early podcast.
Yeah, not too bad though.
Yeah, my story is not as cool as Samuel's.
Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from even before the cyber clinic. What kind of got you into cyber? If that's what you were initially interested, or what you initially went to college for?
I initially went to college for game design because I was working on video games for like 7 years.
Right.
And then, like, towards the end of my degree, I was like, oh shoot, I gotta choose a concentration. And I knew that all the other ones, except for information assurance, was going away, so I was like, screw it, I'll take that one.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then that's where I met a lot of the people from the clinic beforehand. I just didn't know about the clinic until, like, Dr. Joe came into, like, my algorithms class and was like, join the clinic. You'll go on fun trips on planes.
Yeah.
And I was like...
She's right.
Yeah.
She is very right.
I was like, I don't really have the time for that. But I had other friends like Garrett joining the clinic at the time. And they were like, you should join the clinic. You should join the clinic. Then after a year I folded. I was like, okay, I guess I'll join the clinic.
Yeah, I think I met you like before you joined the clinic through Garrett. I think you came to one of our meetings and you just observed.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Like, I think I came back in, like, August, but I only really got into the clinic, at October.
Mm-hmm.
I was just coming to the meetings because you guys were cool.
Yeah.
We are the coolest.
We try to be cool.
A bit of the opposite of Samuel. I actually like the networking side a lot more. I did not like cybersecurity at all when I joined the clinic. I hated it.
Now that's a hot take on this podcast. Might not be a hot take in general, but it's a hot take here.
No, it's you learn to love what you hate.
That's a bar. That's true.
But yeah, I just did work for like a few months, and I was like, this cybersecurity stuff ain't too bad.
Yeah. You kind of find so networking, was there anything else that interested you in cybersecurity? So I know we went from hate. So
yeah.
Going from hate to like is one big jump. So
yeah.
And so we know networking is one of the things you like. Is there anything other avenues you like? Samuel mentioned forensics.
I initially came in for disaster relief, but I never got to do any work on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of just started, like I said, liking like the more networking side of like setting up like routers and switches and all that type of stuff. That's where, as much as I hate doing that, it is my bread and butter. I'm really good at it.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah.
So talk about what you do now in the clinic.
What I kind of do a little bit of everything right now.
That's true.
I mainly am working on internal affairs because I am the recruitment head, so I am reworking like the interview process and like doing things like that. But I do work for PR. I love video editing and I like draw up like basically a lot of the stuff for my team. Like I'm making like the patches that we have, and then I also like come up with like designs for the merch, which sadly we couldn't find a vendor.
Coming soon. I know
soon.
I'm not wearing any Cyber Clinic merch today. I'm this is me going on an informal strike until I get my new merch.
I'm like the only one here with the cyber
So
shirt.
I'm waiting.
I'm waiting
to get the new stuff. So until then,
the new stuff will be fire.
I'm super excited. I know I've seen you guys cooking in that chat. I'm ready. Give me the sample, please, Bianca. Cat, please give me the sample.
I want my drip so bad.
You gotta wait. Be patient.
I know, but I should have some. I should have some pull in this. Cool. So I actually want you to talk a little bit more about your current position, the recruitment head, because the recruitment head is not even a month old, right?
Yeah, it's like about.
It's a month.
It's about a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah, it got made like the same time client services, and we've been going for like a month.
So it's a fairly new position in the cyber clinic.
Yeah.
I think me and our members would like to hear kind of like the goal of it, what you're doing in it, because it's fairly new, and you can only get so much in the officer updates, right?
Yeah.
The officers, we give updates every meeting, but you can only get so much about what they're doing, their processes, or like what their goal is. So I think,
to be fair, recruitment has been like so hectic, and we have not really even been like saying much in the officer meetings because it's like all behind the curtain. You don't really see what's going on in recruitment, but it's like reworking the interview process to like try to like get more people who are interested in cyber or really in any department in general. Like we really need people from finances and business and just anywhere within the university or in general. Like you don't have to be a student to join the clinic.
right.
And our job is to, one, try to find those people, and two, try to get them to join the clinic. So a lot of it is like, how do we interpret between the people who are interested and the people who just kind of want to put it on their resume?
Yeah.
And two, how do we reach out to these people to make it known that it's like, hey, we have opportunities for you that you could like genuinely learn some really good information, not only help us, but like the small businesses around and like help your community.
Yeah, I think that's super important too, because I think people hear cybersecurity and think we're just all like CS, computer science, like tech.
We are, but we're trying not to be.
we're trying to shift that narrative. We're trying to get everyone involved. I know you mentioned business, marketing, finance, even other degrees too, like law, stuff like that.
As much as I love our computer science buddies, they should not be the ones writing our papers.
Yeah, I mean, the Cyber Clinic's a large organization. We have roles for everybody, and then ultimately it's all giving back to the community. It's all helping small business, all for the same goal. It's something everyone can take a part in. And two, cybersecurity is something that shouldn't be like just gatekept. Shouldn't just be for like technical people. Like everyone needs to know it. It's good information for everybody. And honestly, the more people are aware of it, the more people know it, the better our cybersecurity as a whole goes up. Because generally, it's not the people who know about it that are causing the issues. It's the people who may have hated it at one place that were just like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to me. But that's the farthest thing from the truth. So I think that's awesome. I'm super excited to see like what strategies and like bringing different people in, because bringing different people in, we get different perspectives. Because right now, especially in like some of our meetings, there's just a bunch of technical people shouting about business things.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to have a business person shouting about business things.
Because personally, it's like, oh man, what should we do with the website to get more engagement? I don't know. I just build the website.
I'm just a coder.
Yeah.
Quote for quote. That's awesome. So I'm gonna poke with you now.
Okay.
Elections are coming up.
Yeah.
Any plans for running for any specific positions? And then you just recently graduated, right? Or you graduated?
I graduated last semester.
Yeah, because I saw the LinkedIn post. Congratulations, by the way. So what are your plans now that you've graduated with your undergrad, and what are your plans regarding the clinic in terms of position-wise?
Well, I mean, after I graduated, before actually, like when I was applying to the clinic, I was like trying to find jobs. I was like mass applying, but I really wanted to get into Boeing, and they just kept on rejecting me.
Boeing?
Yeah, because I have I have a few friends that already work there, and I was like, planes are cool. I was in AIAA before I joined the clinic, so I was pretty interested in like aerospace and things like that. I was like, what's cooler than, you know, working on like plane OSs, right?
Yeah.
And I just kept on getting rejected from like every job that I applied to. So I was like, I got no backup plan. Dr. Kim was like, come to the PhD program. And I gave in.
Yeah.
It was mainly because I graduated with my bachelor's with no debt, and he was like, we'll pay you to do the PhD program. And I was like, what's a better deal?
Right. Yeah, that's one of those like alternative cases I was mentioning when we were talking earlier. Like there are cases where this makes sense to do right out the gate. Like yours makes complete sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I know that if I leave and I go join the workforce, I'm going to like lose all that ambition to really even go to school. So I might as well do it now, especially since I got no debt and it's like I'm getting paid to do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And you don't want to wait too long to do. That's something I forgot to mention. You don't want to wait too long. That's part of what kind of brought me back in too. It was kind of, Mehdi told me, he was like, well, you're only getting older. And I was like, well, I'm only 24 at the time, 23.
But to be fair, like what Mehdi's doing, like going back to school at like 40 or like an older age, it's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's very hard to do because cognitive decline is a real thing. You don't think like you used to when you're younger. And he was like, you better off getting it out the way now. You don't have to think about it. You'll be done. And then by the time you're at, he was like my age, school's a long thought.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you because how old are you, by the way?
I'm 21.
See, yeah, super young.
It's only because I be doing things fast.
You're older than me.
No, I'm not.
What?
Oh my god.
Are you 2001 or 2003?
2002.
Cool. So kind of going back to that. So doing your PhD now.
Yeah.
And what about the clinic? Where were you kind of looking there? Were you looking to kind of stay where you're at? Did you want to go up?
Initially, like when I first joined, because I wanted to do like disaster relief and more like law-based stuff, because I was interested in that. I was thinking about going for compliance, but then I like very quickly shifted over to like, because I was like dipping my toes in everything like PR, treasury, secretary, you know, internal affairs.
All
I was like,
above.
all of the above. I was like, why don't I just run for president? Which is what I'm trying to do.
Right.
If I don't get it, no backup plan.
Hey, it's the attempt that matters. And I think shooting, you know, what's the whole old saying? Shoot for the stars, land on the moon.
Yeah.
No, you shoot for the moon, land among the stars.
Huh?
What?
That's what it is.
Where are the stars in between the Earth and the moon?
No. Oh my gosh. It's you shoot for the moon, but if you miss, you'll land among one of the stars.
We're gonna have to fact check this. Jamie? No,
Jamie, check this out.
Cyber Clinic Central doesn't have a Jamie yet, but you know, one of these days we will. We're gonna look that up afterwards. I think that's awesome though. I think that's super cool. The president is one of the most. It's a great opportunity. Because ultimately, what the president does is your job is to serve everybody. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to give the people their voice.
You serve everybody. You act as the voice of the clinic. You try and get people what they need to do what they're gonna do. That's all it is. And you know, you're already doing it. You're getting involved because that's step number one. Step number one is getting involved in so many different things and talking from people from different departments, seeing what each department needs, and getting an overall baseline understanding. Mile wide, inch deep. That's what I like to say. It's also a good thing for consulting, by the way. You know a lot, but only so much.
So if I need something, I ask you.
You already do.
$1 million.
All right, not like that. Not like that.
Okay.
Okay, Jamie just looked it up and shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
I told you.
All right.
Wow.
I'm always right.
Thank you so much for looking that up. We don't have a Jamie, but we got a Bianca. Everyone shout out Bianca.
Woo!
That's cool. I'm super excited for you. That'd be awesome.
I mean, I feel like I'm like halfway there. I just need to get like the technical stuff. Like, I'm taking my set class next week, and it's like hopefully I pass.
Yeah. Being president is not necessarily being technical. It's just that having that understanding helps your overall. I guess I don't know a better way, but it's your pitch.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, all the candidates who want to run for a position, they present.
I mean, it's hard to work underneath someone where you know it's like they're dumber than you. So.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not necessarily that the person at the top has to be the smartest, but they have to be like open to ideas.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to, like you said, mile wide, inch deep. I kind of have to know a little bit about everything to be the president.
100%. That you took it right out because when I took the position, you know, I was definitely not the smartest one in the clinic. You know, and to this day, I'm not smart. I've never even claimed to be top 10. I'm like 15, I think.
Getting up there.
I'm like 15, but I think I know enough about everything, and then the way I communicate with people and like work with different people, and I'm able to adjust to different settings. I think that's a lot of great strengths, and you're doing that as it speaks, so that's awesome.
I feel like the hardest thing about being president is delegating work and hoping it gets done, because it's like, as like a person who's already started at the bottom and going up, it's like you're like, I'll just do the project myself. I know I'll do it faster. But it's like you gotta trust the people underneath you.
You gotta trust, because ultimately you gotta trust. Because for me, kind of what helps me with that is that the people, it's a reflection of yourself. Do you trust that you're a good leader?
Mm-hmm.
I trust that I'm a good leader, so I trust you to accomplish this, and that kind of funnels down, because trust is like a funnel down thing. Trust is given to you off the bat.
Yeah,
it's up to you if you lose it or not.
Yeah,
so
it's the same thing for me. It's like when starting as like recruitment head, it's like, if you get into my department, then that means I already trust you, and I'm going to give you work that I think that you can do, and if you do it, I'm going to give you more work that I think that you're able to do. I'll never give you something that you cannot do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I could say like, oh, don't worry guys, I'll just do all the work, you guys just sit around and do nothing, but it's like I'm telling like our initiates and our members inside of recruitment, like, hey, come do interviews, come like fill out like questions, tell me how you think we should change the process. I trust in their word, because they still have a say. They like, they have ideas that maybe we haven't thought of.
And it's kind of going back to what you were saying, like it's about giving that opportunity. Give them the opportunity to do something, because you can't just write people off and say they can't do anything. You haven't told them to do anything. How do you know?
And then it's like you kind of like, you can't train somebody just by telling them what to do. They have to do it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And those are the people that end up doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. So you really have to like engage with people thoroughly. Like we did some in-person training for assessments and stuff like last 2 weeks, and we had so much initiate engagement, probably the most like ever. Like I saw members that I hadn't seen in so long pull up, because it's like we engaged with them, we were open with them, and we gave them the opportunity to show. And that, because again, I'm always wary about how we're working with clients, and they really showed me through that training, like, these people want to do this. I trust them,
Yeah, it's all about trust. 1000%.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the hot topic of today, Samuel. I'll let you start it off. What did you want to talk about? You wanted to come on here. You want to speak your piece. And you also wanted to drop some knowledge and advice for the members too.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about cyber competitions, like getting involved with any cyber competitions. Like this doesn't just apply to our lovely cyber clinic members. It applies to like anyone wanting to get into cybersecurity. Just do it. Nike, I think I'm wearing my Nikes right now. Just do it, because it is such a great opportunity. Because when I started, this applied to anything that I did. I was always scared to do anything. So when I joined the clinic, it was like a big hurdle for me to overcome, to like, I gotta stop being scared and I just gotta do something, right? Because you won't ever figure out anything about yourself or what you like, or you'll never really make it in life, I think, and be happy if you don't just do the things you're scared of, right? It's not an infallible plan. Like there may be issues with just doing things you're afraid of, and issues come up, but in general, if there's something you want to do but you're too scared to do it, just do it. Because I've been in 3 CTFs now, won all 3, 100% win rate.
Let's talk about the CTFs that you're in. What were the 3 that you were in?
I was in the Boss of the Sock Splunk CTF.
I remember that one.
You were in that. Yeah, you were in that one, right?
Yeah.
I remember it very well. I remember winning it.
I remember like coming in like an hour late, just seeing Samuel and Bianca, just like, oh my god.
You guys came in. You guys had a great. I'm not gonna make any excuses. You guys did great on that competition. We were both in that competition. I was in it because of the class. So the class I was in for my grad program was the Splunk class. The invite got spread to everyone in UNLV, and then you guys came on with your own team. Mm-hmm. It was like 5 of you, 6 of you.
It was 4. Only 4 people were.
Me, Bianca, Angel, Garrett.
Yeah.
And then at first, in the beginning, my team was first. First. We were leading for, I would say, the first.
I remember you guys were bragging about it too.
I could be a talker. But I'm one of those people. I'll talk like when I'm winning and losing. I don't talk. I'll talk whatever. It doesn't matter. But that's besides the point. I think how long was the conference? Like 3 hours?
It was way longer than 3 hours.
4?
I don't
was
know. I came late.
I thought it was
4
like
hours?
It was like 6 to 10 or something like that.
It was like 5 hours to take a minute around.
We keep up in the hour.
6 hours.
It was a long competition. I was leading for like 60% of that.
Yeah.
Our team was leading for like 70% of it, and then our score just kind of was going. It was going, and then we just started dipping down.
Yeah.
Like because the challenges started getting more difficult. There were things outside of my knowledge that I wasn't very much aware of. And then time was kind of not on my side at that time because I wasn't able to participate all the way till 10. I think I had to leave at like 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then I checked the score the next day, and you guys just
it's like a weird
doubled our
phenomenon.
score.
Yeah, I remember because we were still like second at some point when I had left because I was still working. I had to like go home at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got home and we had we had gotten like 3,000 more points. Like Angel and Garrett came in clutch because that was a tough CTF. I'm pretty familiar with working with sim environments. And the questions they were asking us were a little weird. The way their Splunk environment was set up was kind of weird. I think that was probably on purpose to see if you could like navigate an unfamiliar territory. So when we did Tracer Fire later on, it also had like a sim environment, and it was super familiar to me. Like
so you did the Splunk one, and then you moved on. The next one you did was Tracer Fire with Cap.
So that was a whole
and
semester later.
And who was on your team for that one? It was
Well,
you
we had
two?
to split up into 2 different teams
Yeah.
because
Okay.
they said that the max team size was 5 and we had 6 people.
Okay.
So
you did 3 and 3?
yeah, so first team was Samuel, Garrett, and Sylvia.
Mm-hmm.
And then second team was me, Bryce, and David.
Okay. And how'd that go?
Do you want to talk about Tracer Fire?
Tracer, it's like a weird phenomenon that we have. Like when doing like CTS with the clinic, is like we always start like kind of average or like a little bad, and then we end up shooting up all the way to like the top.
Yeah, slow starters.
Yeah. Because like the same thing happened with Tracer Fire. We were like kind of like lagging behind the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because it was like like there was like a few categories. There was like 2 of them that had like a ton of questions. And they were a bit easier, and then the rest of them were super hard, but they had like way less questions. It was me and Garrett that were kind of like tackling like the ones that had a lot of questions but were a bit easier, and then everyone else was tackling like the stuff that you had to like download programs with, like Autopsy and Ghidra.
Mm-hmm. Ghidra, your favorite.
Yeah, I used it once and I couldn't even finish the challenge because we had 10 minutes left.
Yeah, and it was kind of like rough because we all kind of stayed up throughout the night. I ended up not sleeping for those 3 days, but they ended up getting first place, and our team ended up getting second place by
That's
like
awesome.
1,000 points less, and like the max that they got was like 8,000.
This is my prize from Tracer Fire. I
Some
got
beats.
all my prizes.
They were like 8,100, and we were like 7,900.
Oh, super close.
Well, after the presentations, I think we were like 8,800, and you guys were like 8,100, something like that.
What?
You
No.
guys were pretty close.
We got the same points for the presentation.
I know. I thought you guys were like only like 700, 800 behind us. You weren't that far back.
We were like 200 points behind you.
All right, it doesn't matter. They lost.
It was a
I
close
won.
margin. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't end up getting a coin for it. They did though.
You got the coin and the beats.
Yeah,
That's
my
pretty-
coin's at home.
That's
I just
pretty
got the lanyard.
Yeah,
It's pretty sick
You
though.
guys got all your merch today. Man,
Yeah.
I should have brought something. If I actually won. No, just kidding.
Yeah, you want my Splunk notebook?
Tracer Fire was like very fun.
It was
I'd
so
say
fun.
a very beginner friendly CTF, but it was a little rough because compared to the other teams, it wasn't too bad. I'd say because we like over prepared. Angel was the GOAT for teaching us.
Yeah.
Shout out Angel. Next episode he'll be on.
But like finishing the actual CTF and getting all the questions, that was rough because I remember them talking to them saying like there was a team in one of the previous CTFs that like finished it in hours. So they ended up like boosting the amount of questions that there was, and that made it impossible to finish.
It wasn't that scenario. It was a different.
Yeah, it was a
scenario.
different scenario.
Yeah, but it was very difficult. We were pretty close to finishing, like
Mhm.
very close. Like Bryce and I. The thing is that Bryce and I did this category called Davy Jones, which was like more. It was like everything. Like I had to use Elastic Stack, I had to use Archimate, I had to use Velociraptor, I had to use Ghidra at some point, but I didn't really get to. And a little bit of Autopsy would have helped too. But I'll get into that. So I finished the first few challenges first. Like I was like the first solves for the first few, and then I got to this one challenge that had to do with like browser cache data, and Bryce caught up to me, and then we were stuck on that problem for 10 hours. And later did we find out her teammate David found the
like
answer.
5 hours ago.
He didn't really solve it. I don't think he knew he solved it, but he found the answer, and he's like, oh, that key? I found that earlier with autopsy, and I was like,
it was so funny.
I had to download like an old deprecated like program on GitHub. It literally stopped getting updated like 7 years ago on a Windows VM in a Linux VM. Yeah. I
That's
had
crazy.
It only worked on Windows, so I went into my Linux VM, and then I went into my Windows VM in that Linux VM, and I installed that, and it took me like an extra hour to find the answer, and then I was like off to the races. I solved like every other challenge, and Bryce and I were on the last challenge, but we had 10 minutes left.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And what was the third CTF that you guys did? So it was
The third
Tracer
one we
Fire, Boss of the Sock.
Then we did NCAE,
Yeah.
Cyber Games.
Okay.
That one was like literally last week.
Yeah.
Last week, so very
Yeah.
fresh.
Mhm.
How'd that one go?
That one was a bit of a nightmare, not gonna lie.
Really? She
um,
thinks that it was nice.
I think it was a bit of a nightmare because there was two teams for the CTF. They had like a regular like capture the flag, like answer the questions.
Yeah.
And then they had a networking side where we had to keep servers up while red team was trying to take them down. The
That's
red team was
crazy.
the staff.
That's pretty
Of
cool,
the
actually.
CTF.
That's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It was very cool because like the red team would be like talking in the Discord channel and
Mhm.
like they were assisting other teams by like giving them small hints as they were like making fun of us a little bit.
Dang.
Yeah.
They were like, imagine if we just took down your router with this command and then all the routers would go down.
That's crazy.
At one point, there are a lot of funny things that happened with the red team, but I remember like I kept
Oh,
trying to change the
no.
password, and they were on the system, and I forgot to like put in the who command to see who was like on, and every time I would make the change, and I started making like jokes. I started being like, "Hey, Nicholas, please don't steal my password," and he's like, "What? You spelled my name wrong. Let me take your password."
Literally, it was like we would change the password and then they would be like, why are you guys changing your password? And then they would post it.
Oh,
And then-
Yeah.
And then he changed it to like one of the red team's names. And then he misspelled it and they were like, you couldn't even have the decency to spell it right.
I was like, "Nicholas, please don't take my password."
the reverse psychology was coming in.
And then once we kicked them off, they ended up changing one of our passwords because we didn't change it to, I think it was like our DNS. What was
It was our DNS server.
Our
They took
DNS
it
server. And then they requested that our team do a dance video to get it back.
That's
We
crazy.
did the video.
We had to
did.
do the video.
So did you get it
twice.
back?
We did get it
We did
back.
Okay.
We made 2 dance videos. One where we were doing Fortnite dances, and I swore by accident, and we didn't have music, so they were like, "Do it again with music and no swearing." And then
And then
we
we
did
did
the
the tango with AC/DC music in the back.
and I flipped over onto the ground.
Oh.
I have the video on my phone. I
No,
don't know
don't show the
if
video.
I think we can pull it up.
We'll have to save that one for a Cyber Clinic short.
Okay.
Cyber Clinic blooper.
I'm
Yeah.
down with that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So 3 competitions, all fairly recent, because one of them was last semester. That was the oldest one.
Yeah. The boss was.
So what are your takeaways like overall? Like what were your takeaways from all the competitions? Like, because I know there's a lot of talk about competitions. They're really beneficial, not only just for the technical side of things, but just kind of what we all hinted up earlier, communicating, working with the team, working with others, trusting people.
Well, because the teams in NCAA was split into 2, like
Mhm.
one with capture the flag, one with the networking. We like had to really trust each other that it was like
Yeah.
this team was doing okay, that team was doing okay, and we had to like reach out whenever, because like it's when you're doing a CTF, you kind of feel bad for like being stuck on a problem for so long, but then you feel even worse having to reach out and be like, I was stuck, can you help me? Like take time out of, doing the routers and help me with this question, because in the long run, it's overall better if you take 5 minutes away to help somebody so that way they can progress and like start solving stuff while you can start doing your own stuff rather
Yeah.
than just letting them sit on that problem for like they said, like 10 hours when David found the key like
When
a while
knew,
ago.
They knew.
Yeah. David was just like, "Boo womp." They can figure it out.
Womp womp. But trust is a big factor. Another one is just like you really, really, really have to check up on your teammates. Sometimes it's easy to just get like huddled in your own little bubble during the CTF and be like, this is my question, I'm gonna do it. And then you like realize that your other teammate is like struggling.
Yeah.
And you're like, you could probably solve that question in like 5 minutes if you just took the time to help them.
Right.
But it's like everyone kind of just gets encapsulated in their own world because they're just like laser focused.
Yeah, siloed. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna bounce off that point because 100%. Like, I want to shout out Sylvia. Sylvia, you better watch this episode because I'm shouting you out. She came into because she did both Tracer Fire and NCAE with us, and she came into it with really like not a lot of experience at all, but she jumped in and she did really, really well.
Yeah.
She learned super fast, and the good thing is that just overall, like again, our teamwork was really good. I think that was the biggest thing that helped us. Is we all worked together. Like I was going over and I was checking on Bryce, seeing like, oh, how are you doing on Davy Jones? He's still stuck on the cash problem. Yeah, I know too. I'll go over and see what David's doing. I'll go over to see how I helped Sylvia get set up with like Windows Event Viewer, and that got her started with her category.
Yeah.
And overall, it was just like I remember even for like NCAE, when we were getting started, I could have just immediately configured the router and just gotten it running like that. But I was like, Sylvia, come here. We're gonna configure this, and then I helped her. She pretty much had it unlocked to set it up, but I helped her, made sure everything was all good. And again, it was just like that shows you the hard charters, the promising people, the people that's what I want. That's why I want people to just do it because
just compete.
We're not gonna leave you behind. You're not just gonna go in there and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. We're gonna help you, or I am. I will help you. I don't know about her.
No, last minute on the NCAE one, I was like, do you guys need help with a question? Because I remember seeing the question at the very beginning that they hadn't solved. They're like, hey, how would you do this? I was like, it looks like, what is it? Like the
I don't know. I didn't know.
Like going through the file system through the web browser, right?
Okay.
In the URL. I forgot what it was called. And then they like immediately solved it right afterwards.
Oh.
So it's like, even if you just give them a hint, like you don't even have to answer the problem. Like people, you just got to give something out of the box to think about. And Sylvia is still one of like like I said, she's like super good at doing that because she is so like on top of like, let me help this person. Because during Tracer Fire, she was like, oh, I'm kind of stuck. Let me take a break from the problem. And she didn't like move on to someone else's problem. She just went up and said like, what are you stuck on? How can I help you?
Yeah.
And she did that during NCAE as well. She was like helping us change the keys for like the shell because our users got locked out and we couldn't get them to log back in, which was losing us points.
Right.
And she was like, oh, I know how to do that. And she like put the commands in the chat. And I was like, thank you, Sylvia.
That's awesome. Your guys' experience kind of reminds me of similar to mine because I did the DOE Cyberfire, I believe. I believe last year was the last, not my last CTF, but the last one I did, with the clinic. Everyone's super helpful. I think that's also that. I was kind of scared when I went because I was like, well, kind of what I said earlier. I was like, I'm not the smartest guy out here. Like I kind of know a little bit about everything, so I don't know what you're gonna expect from me. So I was like, just try it. Let's just go. What do we got to lose? Can't lose competition. We're already in first place. So I'm not gonna lose the competition. So I went out there. I tried it for the first time. I think I might have talked about this before, but I was working with Angel at the time, and he was helping me out with one challenge. It was a heavy point question. Like it wasn't one of the entry level questions. It was like I think like level 6 or 7 out of 10. So they were stuck on it, and I was looking at it. We were working on it for like 5 hours, 6 hours. At the end of the 5 hours, I got it eventually, and it was like one of the most like best feelings I've felt in competition. Just solving my first challenge. I've never gained that feeling ever in other competitions. I think I'm just chasing that feeling of solving the puzzle, but
the high, the adrenaline.
Yeah, but
it feels so nice to not see incorrect on the screen.
I know it feels really good to see those points get awarded, but I think just the camaraderie, the communication, the teamwork, and the learning, everything all bottled up in one thing is like super beneficial to cyber, because a lot of people, I think there's a misconception that we're like, you just need to be super technical. I think that's just with any like engineering adjacent thing, like you just need to be super technical and smart, you're going to succeed. That's not true. There's a spot for you, but that you won't necessarily guarantee success. I think you need to be a full package, and I think being in these competitions helps you become more well-rounded because you're learning these skills to like communicate in a team, which also when you go into your career, or you go into management, or you go into something else, you're going to need these abilities to communicate. Take the time to help people, do stuff like that. So I think that's super beneficial competition. And I'm excited for you guys because I'm sure you got more competitions coming up, right?
We got NCAE.
We gotta go to
Nationals.
nationals,
Yeah.
and then NCL is coming up too.
It's crazy you guys are considering doing NCL.
I
I know
wanna
there's
do
the
it.
individual game, but like the
Individual,
team game, team game, we literally fly out when the team game starts.
Yeah.
Gonna be doing it on the plane.
You already know I'm paying for that Wi-Fi.
I'm doing the team game for NCL, team and individual game for NCL. I did it last semester. I did this. I'll do it this semester. I'll throw in my brief flex. You know, I was a diamond tier player, individual game.
Man.
Girl flexing his rank.
You know, not too bad, but that's awesome.
I'm like bouncing off what you said before too, like you could be technical or non-technical. I remember like Angel was talking with us, like prepping us for Tracer Farmer.
Mhm.
He was like, actually a lot of his questions were like his downfall because he was very technical, and he would like go ask his like other like kind of more non-technical teammates like where to go because he got stuck for a long time,
Yep.
and they would solve it like immediately because he was like trying to do things that were like out of scope of the competition.
Right.
Bro was too smart.
Yeah, it was funny because I read his write-up because he had like the same scenario as us, and he was like going crazy to find some ransomware, and I literally I mean I'm pretty technical, but I was like very like simple about it. I was like, all right, ransomware, I'm just gonna check Velociraptor, and in the downloads folder was security update.exe, and it's like and I got that like immediately, and it's like, yeah, but what these competitions really do is they balance it out. Like NCAE, they had like just a trivia section, right, Bianco, for the CTF? Yeah. So there's like questions for anyone that anyone can approach. Like, you know, it's super easy to get the answer super quick,
Right.
but it's like approachable. And then you've got like challenges and stuff for the super technical people, and you know, since you're all on a team, you can all work together and see what's going on. Like, oh man, what are you doing, Matthew? Oh, I'm port forwarding our web server through our router. You know.
And even if you're not that technical, it's like, I remember like the red team was like making fun of us. They're like, imagine being beat by ChatGPT. So we would start using like AI to like help us with the competition, which was allowed in the rules.
Okay.
And it genuinely did help because they were like kind of hinting us towards the right direction because they know that not everyone is super technical.
Right.
Like there were some questions during the CTF and like in the routing section that was pretty technical, but then there's some easy stuff like, hey, they changed the port number, or like he said, like there's like Googling sections where you literally just look stuff up and you just have to be like the master like Googler.
Gotcha. Yeah. OSINT.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's-
OSINT champion.
It's
OSINT's
pretty-
your best friend.
it was pretty cool because at one point, like, we got locked out of our shell, and I had to log into single mode, which I had never done on Linux before. I don't know if you've ever messed with a Linux bootloader, but it is evil.
It is evil,
It's
yeah.
evil.
It's literally, and then like I think the red team also put in like extra commands into our bootloader to mess us up that we had to end up deleting.
Yeah, I was like asking what was going, because the black team, like, they were like the support, and they pushed me in the direction of like, oh, you could go into single mode because we were locked out of the shell. We forgot to change the password.
Yeah.
And the black team put me in the direction. I was basically on point to try and like set it up, but then Garrett just like helped me get through all the really quick through like all the commands I needed to run, because it was pretty evil. The bootloader's just a shell. It's just a shell, and you have to like ask the main partition of like your operating system to be like, can you change the password? And it's like, sure.
Yeah, and then we had like some really, like, everyone was a little technical in like each area. We had like people in the CTF that were pretty technical in like web stuff, and then like Garrett and Samuel are pretty technical in like Linux, and then I'm like the Windows person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we had like a good spread, which is what helps us get to
you
like
can leverage off each other's strengths.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
I really wanted to do the reverse engineering for the CTF, but
Too bad, so sad. Womp womp.
wow, I wanted to help you because I didn't want to leave you all alone
Thank
in
you.
networking.
Hey, well, you'll have an opportunity soon, so super excited for that. But before we close off, I usually ask our host this kind of one piece of advice that you give to our members to help them out. Just could be about anything. Could be about cyber competitions. Could be career-wise. Could be in the clinic. And I'll ask both of you that. So we start with you first last time. Let's start with Kat first this time.
Like genuinely, like, advice for like competitions or just going into the workforce or schooling or the clinic in general, right?
Whatever piece of information you want to leave them.
No, this applies to like all of it. It's like Samuel said, like just go into it and you will doubt yourself. Like when I was going to tracer fire, like literally like the week before, I was like, man, I'm not fit for this. And then the same thing with NCAE. I really didn't want to do it last minute, but I was like, I'll just do it. I've already did all the studying, you know. And the same thing with the clinic. I didn't join until a year after because I was like, that's not my thing. And then I was like, whatever, I'll just do it because it's like I'm graduating soon. What's the harm? Like if you just do things and then you commit the time to do it to the point where you're like, I would be wasting the time if I didn't do it, you might actually find a lot of good opportunities that you were too scared to take. Because it's like nobody's gonna get over like that natural anxiety. Everyone has it.
Right.
So, you know, it's just kind of like a bit of like, just get over it. Just do it.
Echoed.
Yeah.
And what about you, Sam?
To kind of expand that point is like this is a really hot topic in like engineering overall, like imposter syndrome, because when you're in a technical field, it's really easy to compare yourself to other people that you feel might be doing way better than you. And that was a big problem when I just joined the clinic. Even today, sometimes I get bouts of thinking like, I'm just gonna quit. I can't do this anymore.
Don't do that.
It's so I know, but exactly that was a common mindset I had when I first joined, and it's like only a little bit now, to be honest. But it's like
you still get it though.
You gotta overcome the imposter syndrome, because trust me, as long as you try it out and as long as you're attempting and exploring, right? As long as you have a curious mind to dive into topics to some degree, you don't have to know everything. People be gassing me up for things that I know nothing about. I'm like, oh yeah, this and that, I remember that, and they're like, you're so smart, Samuel. You know everything. I'm like, I know. And you honestly just gotta. You gotta gas yourself up. I don't want to be like one of those influencers is like, you gotta grind, you gotta. But really, just do things. Go, you like Kat said, get out there, do things, and don't worry about imposter syndrome, because as long as you try a little, you're probably doing way more than most people.
It's inevitable. You will run into imposter syndrome. You will get anxious. You will get worried. You will want to quit. But like I said, like you just gotta do it. You gotta get over it.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. There's one thing I took away from this is just do it.
Just do it.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in to Cyber Clinic Central. We'll catch you guys again on the next episode.